Okay.
Well, I guess we can't officially start until we have the quorum. However, we proceeded with the expectation of having somebody and had that person. So what's your opinion, Fritz? Should we go ahead live?
Oh, we're on the air, so that's
we are call, sound and all. So.
Yes, sir. We are on the air.
Okay. Well, then welcome to all to the December 16th, 2010 meeting of the Fayetteville Telecommunication Board. And just time's passing so fast that and we did not have a quorum, and therefore didn't even attempt to have a meeting in November. And I was confident of having a quorum tonight. We do have some things. We can't approve the minutes or adopt the agenda, but we can proceed with the government channel television report, since that's pretty important, Mr. Geisler.
I'll also include information about the operations of the television center. I don't have numbers and things for you like I do on a quarterly report, so I'll give you just some general information about some things that have been going on. We continue to enhance the usability of the television center for the public and for the city staff. One of the things that we've added is we have basically wrapped up our edit system upgrade project, and those edit systems are in full use by our public and our government channel staff, and have created some really good increases and improvements in the quality, the technical quality of our programming, and also the ease of use and the efficiency of what is being produced. And we've gotten a lot of good response from that, and got even going so far as to put new chairs in the rooms to make it more comfortable for people to sit in there, which is nice when you, instead of sitting in a chair that's, you know, as old as some of those were. So that's going forward. So we wrap that up. Going forward from there, we had plans all year and have started working on renovating the audio, the sound portion of our technology in our studio. And that was something that's been needed for quite some time. We're replacing a 20-year-old audio mixer board with new technology, and fortunately we were able to get a really good price on this. It's going to increase our flexibility, increase the capabilities that we have for audio processing and audio mixing for our studio productions, and also give us a better opportunity to train people for the public when we are providing training for them on modern technology. This is today's technology. So that's always a plus, and that's one of the things that we strive for at the television center, is when we are looking at technology, what are we putting in, how are we putting it in, usability, and how well it works for training people. So things are in a little bit of disarray down there right now from a studio standpoint, but we should have everything back up and running. I'm anticipating before the end of the day tomorrow, if not no later than Tuesday of next week. We do have some things that we have to balance sometimes with holidays, and this is a great time of year for staff to be able to take some time. I would like to publicly congratulate two of my staff members, Steve Odom and Fru Gallagher, who celebrated with the many other employees of the city and the mayor today 15 years each of employment and work with the city of Fayetteville. And we're really, really proud to have their experience and their tenure as part of the team at the Fayetteville Government Channel, and it's really tremendous to have them on board.
Well, that's congratulations to them for sticking with it all these years, and congratulations to you for having those two on staff.
I appreciate that. It's tremendous to have a team that works as well as we have. And from a programming standpoint on the government channel, we have been very successful in implementing the provisions of the new government channel policy that was approved by this board and passed by the City Council earlier this year. and that's going forward very well. We've had no complaints regarding any of the programming, and we've had several compliments from different citizens regarding the information that we're providing them. So we continue to go forward with that and how to maximize our technology and make things work better for our citizens. Do you gentlemen have any questions about anything that's been going on or what we might be looking at in the future?
I don't have any questions, but if I could, Mr. Chairman, I took a tour of the facility yesterday as part of the City Council orientation extravaganza that we went through yesterday, and I just have to say there's so much improvement going on at the television center and what you're doing. It's just amazing the job all the staff is doing there and all the things, and there's a couple of things that I would love to see happen. You've got some national awards that your staff has won, and no place to display them because they need a display rack built or something. If anybody's watching this thing, I would love for somebody that's good at building a display rack to come in there and build something, because they don't have it in their budget. But they've brought out these wonderful national awards and no place to put them, unfortunately. So anyway, but kudos to you for what you're doing down there. The improvement is obvious, and I look forward to just bigger and better things.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant. Mr. Chairman, if I may take this opportunity to also thank Mr. Tennant for his work and his commitment to this board, the Telecommunications Board. As I'm sure most people are aware, he will be leaving this board tonight. This is his last meeting, and will be joining the City Council of Fayetteville, and we're very proud that he's going to be doing that. And I want to personally thank you, Mr. Tennant, for your support and the commitment that you showed for not just the television center, but telecommunications issues overall in the city of Fayetteville during your tenure on this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
If there aren't
Russell,
any other questions, I will allow.
Well, let's go ahead and jump, because there was that point, and we have it further down to discuss the changes in the channel lineup. And the question that arises right now, and as Justin said, we don't know how many people know where to find this now, or if they have the capability on their television sets. But if you're watching on the internet, it's now moved to, what, 216.
I will be happy to address that issue if you want to.
So my question, however, is all the wonderful equipment we acquired this year at the television center, would some of it have been different? Would it have been chosen to specifically deal with being on the high definition, high band areas of the cable?
If I may,
Yes,
would you like me to address the entire issue of the channel migration?
Well, this specific thing is what
this
I was
specific
thinking.
thing. Well,
Yeah.
one of the things I would like to clarify is that channel 216 and all of the new channels that Cox has established for access are not high definition channels. They're not HD channels. They are digital channels, and they are being transmitted in the digital format. So to specifically answer your question, the equipment that we've installed and purchased this year would not have been any different, even if we had been in an opportunity to have a high definition channel. However, the cost associated with converting the entire facility that we have to high definition production would be prohibitive at this time. It would be well over $500,000, probably closer to $1 million, to convert our entire facility to high definition production. So that's not something that we're looking at doing anywhere in the future.
So then the point, I guess my question after that is, if at that point, I understand that we're up there with the all the other cities and university have a space on the channel.
Yes, sir.
Why what would be the difference? How do we know these are not specifically HD high definition, but they are a digital portion of the lineup? Now, the idea was to get the explanation we had, the closest to something made sense, was that they would have a lot more space, bandwidth, or whatever the right terminology is in this instance, to put on more channels. Now, are you saying that the signal going out from those numbers is different from the ones that are HD? And can you tell us a little something, explain that for me and the public, if you would?
Be happy to. As you look at how television signals are transmitted over a cable, think of that cable as a pipe. And each channel is a stream of water in that pipe. And depending on what format, what type of channel it is, whether it be analog, digital, or high definition, it's going to be smaller or larger in terms of how much water it's putting down that pipe. Eventually the pipe fills up and you can't carry any more water. But if you can take, let's say, an analog channel, which is what channel 16, 14, and 18 were before this migration, and an analog channel takes up, say, this much of the pipe, and you can take that, and a digital channel takes up this much of the pipe. You can see that you can fit several digital channels in the same capacity that one analog channel will take. A digital channel in standard definition, would be approximately, and don't quote me on the engineering on this, but it would be approximately 1/10 of one analog channel. However, a high definition channel requires a significant amount of more data to go through it to be a high definition channel, so it's bigger than a standard definition digital channel. They're both digital channels, but the high definition, because it is high definition and it carries that much more information than a standard definition digital channel, it's that much bigger. So an analog channel that is migrated in this, let's say, any cable operator, but ours, Cox Communications, takes an analog channel off of wherever it might be in their system. They can use that bandwidth, that capacity, that part of the pipe, to provide several standard definition television channels, 10, 12. They can also take that and increase the amount of internet download speed to their customers. So you're, as a customer of the cable, if you use their internet, you could possibly get a higher speed for your internet work. And they can take some of that and create some high definition channels as well. Does that answer your question? Does that help make that whole situation a little more clear?
Anyone else want to comment or question?
No.
Do you happen to know the status of UATV? We understand Mr. Foley sent out a news release inviting, I guess, all of us. I don't know who all got that a week or so ago, or nearly 2 weeks ago, and it was last week. He had a gathering to celebrate. They're having their own separate channel from the PEG system with on Cox, and it will be, or is now, 214, I understand.
That's correct.
And I also understand that on campus only, I don't know how many buildings, which buildings, they have the analog old system at channel 22, which for most of our city is Jones Television. And my understanding is that the students on campus can get it that way without the extra boxes and so forth that our other viewers of government channel and the PEG channels. And the PEG channels still exist. The high school now has its own station. And, or I say the high school, it's the school system. And that's good. I think that I did get a note, which I believe is in the packet, from the public relations person from the school system about what they're planning to do. And anybody wants to hear more, one of us could read that aloud. But they're not making many changes, just having to do a lot more to have a signal out there with some significant information. And it'll probably start off much like the other stations were a few years ago, when there was no 24/7 programming, but there was what I used to call, in the days before there was even an open channel, the Cox had something we called the go-round. It was the streaming of the activities coming up, announcements and so forth. So they will use part of their nighttime for that, I think. But until they have full capability, it sounds like they're pretty well ready for it and had been preparing for it for some time. So the difference is that, well, I guess the question, I wondered if you knew if 214 is HD.
No, it's not. It's my understanding from my conversations with people at Cox Communications that all of the channels that migrated to the 200s, which include our channels, the government channel, the public access channel, and our education channel, the UATV, the other channels that were established, which we can view in Fayetteville, other city channels and public school channels as well. They're all standard definition digital channels. When we discussed this with Cox, they came to the city and advised us that this is what they were going to do, and they worked very closely with us to develop appropriate communication that we had on the government channel and the public access channel to advise people that this is what was going to happen. We provided a toll-free number for people to call to be able to take advantage of more information, and also to take advantage of the special offer that Cox offered for 2 free years of use of a digital converter box if they were an analog customer. If they requested one, they could, and that's still active. As a matter of fact, if someone knows of someone who is an analog-only customer of Cox Communications and no longer can receive the government channel, the public access channel, or any of the other channels that migrated, they can still go to Cox Communications and request the free use of a digital converter box, and then Cox will provide that to them for free for 2 years. They must request it by the end of February of 2011. So there's still quite a bit of time for them to do that. Again, they worked very closely with us to communicate that to the public. And one of the things that I specifically requested is that when they did do the channel migration, that that would be on the old channels, on the 14, 16, and 18, as long as they kept those up, that they would have a screen that said to the information, this channel has been moved, and it is now on channel 216, and if you cannot receive that, call this toll-free number for more information, or visit your Cox store to take advantage of a special offer.
So that's coming straight from Cox?
That is coming, that Cox agreed to do that, and they also responded very quickly during the migration when one of those didn't go up on one of our channels, and I called them and they responded to and got that message up there. And we did that. I requested that because the one thing that I didn't want to have happen was on December 10th or 11th or 14th, and particularly on December 9th, when the migration occurred, was someone to dial into 18 or the government channel or public access and it not be there. I didn't want them to just find a black screen or something, or just not be there. So they agreed to put that up for a period of time, which I think was helpful in communicating to the public. I know there's been a little bit of confusion about whether it was standard definition or high definition, and I also know that there's been some concern about the timing and whether this and how this was worked in with our PEG channels. And I must say that this was not something that they blindsided us with. It wasn't something that we just woke up one day and it was done. They did come and speak with us at the city, and we talked about the whole situation and created a plan to migrate the channels.
I'm sorry we weren't able to inform the public sooner, and that even though there may be nothing in the world we could have done to forestall that, give the public a chance to discuss it beforehand. I do regret that. So repeat that, please. Everyone who is on this tier of Cox or has this box, if they're on the lowest tier, will be getting, in the 4 cities that have PEG channels listed, will be getting the signal. We can watch Springdale, we can watch Rogers with this box, and whatever their stations provide, just as we do Fayetteville, and they can watch ours.
That's correct.
And the exception is that the CAT channel can be seen only in Fayetteville, I understand.
That's correct. Fayetteville Public Access Television will only be receivable within the city limits of Fayetteville.
Okay. That has been the case for some time. I don't remember how many years. Maybe Mr. Bemis is in the audience, could answer that question, what year they changed over and took CAT channel off of the out in the county and so forth. I don't know. Would you?
I'd be happy to address y'all later on. I think it ought to be discussed as a separate item. It's not something that I have on the tip of my tongue. I can look through some papers here. It's been about 5 or 6 years now since Cox decided to move the channels strictly within the city limits, and the county, with their separate contract or franchise, decided another route. To me, it remains very confusing, and I don't live in the city anymore, and I'm not really aware of why the restriction was placed on CAT channel. I see no reason how it differs, and I'll make that argument later.
Okay, well, I'm not sure they're picking up your sound very well, so when you get up, you can address more of that if you choose.
I might be able to shed a little bit of light on that, Mr. Chairman, and that is that what channels are received by any particular area is determined by the franchise agreement that governing body or that franchising authority, in our case it's the city of Fayetteville, agrees to have with the cable provider. So if a franchising authority decides that they do not want to receive a particular channel, then the cable operator is required to not telecast that channel. So that it's all governed by the franchise agreements by the franchising authorities. And it's not necessarily a decision that can be made by the cable operator. I don't know if that's the particulars of what happened with Washington County, but I do know that is how these things work overall. It's my understanding that Mr. Foley has, has worked very well with Cox for several years, and that when we established the AT&T service, it's been over a year ago now. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but when we established the AT&T service, that AT&T provided a separate channel for the Fayetteville Public School System for their own exclusive use. And one of the things that this channel migration allowed us to do and allowed Cox to do was to have enough channel capacity now to provide Fayetteville Public Schools with their own exclusive channel on Cox system, which we were very happy to be able to do. And in our area, in our franchising authority, in our franchise agreement, as we have the public access and the education and the government channel from the franchise agreement that we hold with Cox, we being the city of Fayetteville. The education channel now is the Fayetteville Public School channel. And the UATV has a separate exclusive agreement with Cox Communications, and we have no more interaction with that agreement.
Thank you. I did talk to Mr. Foley last week, and that's something we didn't discuss. I'd sort of forgotten about the AT&T part. I wasn't sure they had actually gone online with AT&T. There was a point at which they didn't have the wiring in or something, but.
It's my understanding that Mr. Foley does not desire to have UATV telecast on the AT&T Uverse system. That's just my understanding. I would have to speak directly with him to talk about that some more, but my last information is that's what the situation was.
I'm sorry I didn't think of it at the time I was talking with him about these things. Well, there's some other, about the advertising that's done, the little blurb that's running on 16 and 18 and 14. They put a word in that suggesting that they were making a call about a promotional offer. And the interpretation of that, of many people I've talked to personally in my neighborhood, at the senior center, post office, and so forth, is that they haven't responded to the offer for the box that's offered free of charge for 2 years and with no down payment or anything, because they thought it would very quickly become something they had to pay for, and they had no idea how much it would amount to. Now, I think someone has addressed that, so they just throw those things away when the letter comes out, you know, advertising for most things like that. So that has been a problem, that it was called a promotional offer, but it seems to be a true and firm offer for 2 years.
Yes,
except for the way it has been described on in the promotional material.
And so, I can contact Cox representatives, and I'll contact them and request that, since there's been some apparent misinterpretation of the word promotional in a connotation, I can request that they change what's up there and take that word out, and for just to say special offer, if you think that would communicate that better.
Might be a good idea. I mean, I think some people think promotional is just a tease that's going to cause you to pay
get it
money
for $2 for a year,
yeah,
and then
no
it's
interest,
$200.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
After a year or 3 months or 6 months, we get things like this in the mail all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so
I'll
I
contact
like
them.
to read them and compare with what I'm already paying. And
right.
Sometimes you can get something retroactively. I did call AT&T about my phone and specifically the offer they sent out on DSL, which made it about a third of what I was paying, or slightly less than half, and allegedly got me up to the highest speed. And I had responded on the telephone to a lady about that who called about 3 months ago, June or something, and she had promised me, but my bill had only gone up. And so when I noticed this and called, after paying it a couple of months without protesting it, oh yes, they fixed me right up. And they're going to give me back the overcharges for 3 months or something, which is a nice gift in a cold winter when the fuel prices are going up and Social Security's not. But one does become leery of offers from all sorts of companies, whether it's the phone or the Cox or the gas company or if the city water bill says something, you know, they still probably don't believe it, even though it's factual. So it may be difficult to get all our viewers back onto the, you know, actually find us on the cable, but I hope so. And any little word they can change that might have an impact on that. would be good. Okay, any other comments or questions, gentlemen? Okay, well, let's move on unless you have something else, Fritz.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fritz.
Let's see, we've got public access television report, and I see the executive director and a board member here tonight.
Good evening. How are y'all? First, I'd like to echo Fritz's gratitude to you, Mr. Tennant, and wish you the best of luck in your new venture here with the city.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed seeing you at the Television Center. And most of what we have been focusing on since I was last here is certainly the contract negotiations and how we leverage community access television to move forward in a way that not only creates the best public access television that we would like to see, a much better product for the city in the contract, but also moves our organization beyond the walls of the Television Center and out in the community with a presence that can serve the community in other ways. So we're really looking as we negotiated the contract and continue to work with the city to make sure that what we do is reaching a new standard in accountability and in compliance, and also a new standard in our ability to serve the public in Fayetteville. We really are kind of at a very exciting point where history is being honored and the future is looking brighter. One of the ways that I can sort of capture that is we're moving from this past year. I think we offered around 12 hours worth of classes per month to residents of Fayetteville and those who use the public access services. To starting January 1st, we'll be offering 60 plus, I believe about 69 hours worth of classes, all of which will be free. For residents of Fayetteville.
Per month? Or?
Per month, I'm sorry, yes, per month. We're looking at this year, this month of December, we actually hosted and were the contract providers for the 60th telethon for the Lions Club over public access television. I think about 30 of those were over television and 30 of those were over radio. So we have that rich history coupled with the launching of a new class called the Accelerated Producers Training, which we've been piloting in December. That is a free class designed for folks who want to come and learn how to make television, but may not have as much time to devote over several nights during a month, but want to come for a good chunk of time. That is being piloted this month and will become part of our, actually in a two-slot, 2-3-hour course offering starting in January, one of the new classes that we hope to teach. We're looking, I think I mentioned the last time they were here, we're also looking at rebranding the organization. So when we launch in January into our new year, 2011, we'll also be doing that with a new name and a new positioning statement. The rebranding committee has been meeting pretty feverishly throughout the last couple of months, and which has been led by Molly Jensen, who's a professor of marketing at Sam Walton Business College, who's been helping us. And we will have a new name and positioning statement to be voted on at the board meeting December 28th. So I'm not going to give anything away until our board has had time to vote on that. But as you can see, we're really looking forward, making lots of changes. I want to publicly acknowledge the great collaborative and open lines of collaborative effort and open lines of communication I feel we have had with the city, from the final negotiations with Mr. Marr to the ongoing work that I'm doing with Fritz to make sure that we are approaching 2011 with everyone on the same page, with the same understanding of what needs to happen to fulfill the contract and make us the best public access service provider that we can be. I'll speak about board of directors. We've added 2 members briefly, and then ask David if he wants to follow up with any information on the board. And then I'll go over the annual performance review, which was what we were going to do last month, and you weren't able to meet. So we're at 7 board members again. We were able to, the board voted in to membership Molly Jensen, who has been real involved with the rebranding process and has joined the board for a 3-year term. And Shakia Jordan, who is very fundamental in some of our earlier work on our part of the RFP process. She's a research associate and instructor with the School of Social Work, but also is the former deputy director of Peace at Home Shelter and brings a lot of nonprofit experience with her to our board. And we have a slate of 19 candidates that the nominations committee is currently working to bring more members on board, and we'll have a very new, invigorated, and exciting slate of board members for the first of the year in 2011. Again, the #1 word in community access television right now is change, and working towards becoming better at what we do. Anything to add about the board or anything, David, before I? Nope. All right. In your packet, you'll see that we did, I believe it was September's meeting, I asked for an extension on the annual review, which had been presented typically at the October meeting. Maybe it was then that I asked for the extension. However, what we were able to do was I worked with Fritz to kind of get some good language so that we could get a pretty good understanding of where we are and how we've been doing. Just a couple of things to note: in a short amount of turnaround, we were able to get 60 respondents versus I believe there was like 21 or 23 last year. And we used SurveyMonkey, which I really highly recommend. It was a great way to get the word out and allow people an opportunity to fill out a survey and be anonymous at the same time. I'll just go quickly over the overview, and then if you have any questions. With regard to our mission, and our CAT's mission is to make available a medium of communication that provides freedom of expression and community awareness for all local citizens. 72.9% of respondents rated us as meeting or exceeding. Do you want me to go through these overviews with you, or do you want to just read them? It's really up to you.
Gentlemen?
I mean, I've read a lot of them. You can.
I mean, I don't want to waste your time if you've already read them.
Yeah, some of the highlights are.
I'm happy to just move right into questions if you'd like. One thing I do want to note is obviously when you look at the people who did take the time to make comments, some of them are extreme in one direction or extreme in the other, but a lot of good constructive criticism as well. And that this survey is definitely, this survey along with the contract that we have been working on with the city and our strategic plan that the board and key stakeholders completed in October are really kind of the defining documents we'll be using and moving forward in this next year. I look forward to giving my annual report in January, and by that time, hopefully we'll have solidified a lot of these changes that you can anticipate for 2011. But any questions or comments about the survey at this time?
No, I think that you notice the I don't knows
Right.
vary by question, which makes sense. Some of the things a person who's there seldom or watches the station or maybe has never read the former goals, and this list in particular, may not possibly have any way. Honestly, he doesn't know. So if he had answered, he would just be assuming that it's this way or that. So I think in mine, I probably gave pretty high grades on most things when I did it. And I don't remember if I put it, I don't know or not on some of them, but there are things that if you're not there all the time, you couldn't know. So I think you got, your survey was very successful. Anyone else comment on that?
I mean, some of the things that I think this board takes very seriously are things like, you know, freedom of speech is valued and exercised, and you got a 83.1% meeting or exceeding requirement of that duty. I mean, I think those things are extremely important. So congratulations on those numbers. I'm very happy to see those numbers.
Okay. I think one thing I would lift up, and I think it's no surprise, I think the lowest that we got on meeting exceed was how well we promoted the uses and benefits out in the community, and that's certainly one of the most exciting frontiers on which we will be launching in 2011 because there's so much more that we could be doing to bring people to this incredible gem that is called public access in Fayetteville. And that I stand here and commit to you that we will be doing that in 2011. The contract mandates it, the city wants it, we want it too. And if I have to look at I tend to like to look at things as challenges instead of negatives. That's our big challenge, and we're ready to meet that challenge for you.
Great.
I just thought of all these things about how you could promote it more. We can't afford newspaper ads. We can't buy commercial TV space to promote that you could come down and do your own producing and videography and so forth. But maybe we could have some jackets for sale, like the T-shirts that have been for sale in the past, and this time say, video staff or production staff or something, but make it clear that this is a person with this camera, and try to get people to wear this shirt or jacket, and make it
like sort
at
of
cost,
yeah.
you know.
Part of what they get for becoming a certified producer,
Right.
so and encourage them to wear them. Good idea.
I see somebody with a video camera, and I always go around and look to see if they're shooting, if it says cat on it, or commercial station, or I recognize the government channel people working. But if any way we can let people know they can come and use this equipment and learn to do it, be on short takes, do the various things that you do, is great.
Great. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything else on that subject? That is excellent. Pardon me for being slow, but I'm just getting slower all the time. Contract review. What discussion do we have about that? Mr. Geisler, did you want to say anything about the contract or the new contract?
What I will tell the board is that Tuesday night of this week, that the City Council in its agenda session voted to consider the contract on the consent agenda on the upcoming City Council meeting, which is next Tuesday night in this room.
Mm-hmm. So if it's on consent, none of it will be read publicly there.
The contract itself will not be read word for word. No.
Right. So, and there will be no public comment on that contract at the council meeting if it remains on the consent agenda. Therefore, it behooves us to ask any questions you may have, gentlemen, and hear the public comment. And before we do that, do we have any comment from the CAT staff or board?
No additional comments. You know, if there are questions that arise from some of the comments, I'm happy to answer them, but no additional comments to what I've already made.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll open it to public comment.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, not to interrupt, but I would like to express that as this moved forward and the contract was approved by Ms. Shelley, who is the designated representative from Community Access Television, and it was prepared to go to City Council, that we distributed it to all the members of the Telecommunications Board for their review. And it was also available to the public from accessfayetteville.org once it went on into the tentative agenda session packet. So it has been available, which is what we want to do, and we wanted the members of the board to have an opportunity to review it and to be able to provide their advisory opinion to the City Council before it went to City Council vote.
Yes, I regret we weren't able to. We knew we were not having a quorum in November, so we didn't get to look at it then. And it was still on the lower tier of stations, and more people would have been watching and been able to appear and discuss it. Mr. Bemis, you're our public at the moment.
Bemis, Nice segue. We don't have a quorum tonight, Mr. Chairman, as I understand it.
And we're not going to vote on anything.
Fantastic. I just wanted to make that, I don't believe you mentioned it, that you did not have a quorum tonight. I have several comments that I've sent to you by email. I'm not going to belabor them tonight, particularly because you don't have a quorum. There are many items that I'd like to read because I found that I've not been able to get my requests and complaints answered by the board. I personally feel that the complaint process, as I've outlined to you, is broken, badly broken. And I think any reasonable review of what I've done this year in terms of my requests and complaints has not been handled in a way that I would consider systematically or timely manner. I would like for the board, as I've indicated in my letters, what they might want to do to rectify that. In 2006, the board set up a process for the government channel which indicated that it would be complaint driven, but they never, and the board or the policy has never provided the complaint process that works. It's supposed to be a two-way street. Otherwise, the board really has no purpose if the public can't make their requests and complaints and their problems known in a timely and efficient manner. As I understand it, that was the whole purpose of the telecommunication ordinance and your board, to provide a way for not only y'all to supervise, you got these duties outlined in the ordinance, but also for the public to provide an avenue for them to have a say-so. Well, tonight I've heard several items talked about in which the public did not have a real opportunity to discuss what was going on. You folks are, by the ordinance, and I'm going to read it a little bit, your duties, what you're supposed to be looking at and advising on. It's your duty to look at what the Cox Cable people are doing and what AT&T are doing and make recommendations on it. As far as I know, you did not have any input into the discussions on the lineup for Cox, and you've got absolutely, as far as I can see, no indication of what your input was on the educational channel and the university channel. I applaud what Mr. Foley's done at the university, but that's no longer a PEG channel, as I understand it. Is that right?
That's correct.
We have the educational channel, which is a wonderful opportunity, but folks, they don't give you anything. You're allowing them to use your rights away, and these rights come to you from the federal government, if you want to look back that far. It's ours. We have a minimal amount of bandwidth available to us out of what they've gotten through this change from analog to digital. Mr. Tennant, you deal in that area. I believe you mentioned the amount of space that they've gotten. Many other communities are getting 20% of that bandwidth for their use within the community, for whatever purpose they want. They could have a channel for every school. They could have a channel for emergency use. The council this week discussed a new system that they're going to have for communications, and I don't know what all it covers, but they covered a huge amount of the city operations. Could that be used as an emergency system for the PEG channels? Seems to me that would be a natural alliance that you would try to develop. Anyway, just those kinds of issues y'all ought to be looking at as I read this ordinance. And I hope that you will find an opportunity to review this next year. And I know, Mr. Tennant, y'all went through an orientation yesterday. I'd like to see the Telecom Board and the council go through an orientation on what your duties are in collaboration with the city and with the council, because you did discuss Freedom of Information Act last night. Okay, the board is, I'm going to read this because I want it on the record. Do you oversee the administration of any television channels or other telecommunications facilities designated for public access, education, and governmental channels? I don't see that happening. I'm sorry, I don't mean to belabor you all because this has been going on for the last 5 years. if the city enters into a contract with another entity for administration, I don't know what that really means, because you've had a change from the UATV to something else, and you have had the educational channel with the school system come in. I have heard no discussion of that. I don't believe there's been any at the telecom board. Now, would that be a correct statement? Has there been any discussion of the move of the educational channel and at the telecom board level?
Yes, I believe Mr. Shepherd had mentioned that pretty much every meeting during the past year that I've been.
I meant the, well, I have not heard that, I'm sorry. If certainly there were no specifics, and I still don't see any specifics on what the educational channel is going to be with the school system. I'm a former worker with the school system. I applaud that also, but I think that you all need to be demanding more. There's absolutely no reason you all couldn't ask for more bandwidth. The contract for Cox has been up for grabs for 12 years now. They owe you not only more bandwidth, they owe you some upfront costs that you can use for your facilities, which is, we got $300,000 when they first wrote the franchise. And you got AT&T coming up next year. They can do the same thing for you. The capabilities that you are missing, I don't know what there's an economic term for the opportunity cost of not getting that. So please try to see what you can bargain for. It's your channel. Every one of them is. It's not theirs. They only rent the right of way from us. Anyway, that's my speech. Same thing holds true for the rest of the Telecom Board ordinance. Is it a two-way street? Does the public have an opportunity to have a say-so in this? And when are you going to do a needs and interest study and a communications audit of what this community needs? We have not done what we said we were going to do 10 years ago when we changed from cable to Telecommunications Board. We have not produced a budget, a longer-term plan, or an organizational chart that covers all of the new technology. Think about it. There's no overarching policy, systematic review, or budgeting for telecommunications in this town. I am a big believer in nobody supports y'all's work more than I do. But folks, it's time for another review like we had in 2003 when then Alderman Mr. Marr and Mr. Jordan led a community group, including some very supportive people in the community to obtain the rights that we have for use of the Mr. John Lewis was a leader in this, and he did more than any single individual. Miss Susan Norton, who later became a chairman of your board, she's a tremendous asset. You put together the assets that we have in this community. Mr. Steve Clark, Chamber of Commerce, I could name you 10 or 12 people like we had last time, including some of the people that were in the last group. Get that group together, make they moved a little bit this direction with Fayetteville Forward, and I hope that the board will work with that group. But it's going to take something much bigger than a volunteer group to get a hold of what telecommunications is in the 21st century. Thank you. Unless y'all have some questions for me, I've got this stuff written out for you. I have my comments underlined in the versions of the CAT contract and the government channel policy, where I think you allowed the city staff, by default from you all, they've taken charge of a large part of the duties and responsibilities that the board has had in the past. I don't fault them for that because I don't think they had any other choice. The actions that were begun in 2008 with the previous administration in dismantling the policy, turning them into procedures, and taking away the staff that was available to board beforehand, I think have been very, very instrumental in weakening the board's position. That's my speech, and I will be happy to answer your questions, and I'll be back with you another time, maybe next week when you have next month when you have a quorum. Thank you.
Anybody have a question?
I don't really have a question. I mean, I wish a lot more people were as passionate as Mr. Bemis about a lot of different issues. I also think that some people think things are broken and some people think they are not. A couple of points, though, that he made that I do want to address only because they interest me is the radio system you were talking about that was brought up yesterday that hasn't been voted on to my knowledge, and we'll see what happens there. But it does interest me in the capabilities of that emergency system if there's a city part of that in that. And so that is something I think to be checked on. I'll be more than happy to do that because I didn't quite understand all that there was with that new emergency system. You know, what does it really provide? I mean, I got a pretty good idea about its uses, and you know, my opinion doesn't matter really right now of whether it's a good use or not. But the fact is, there's a lot there, and that it's a big investment. So I think that's a fair question. Is what does that bring in an emergency situation for video as opposed to just radio? So I'll take that absolutely as my initiative, and we'll report back to you guys about that. Another question though, the things you printed out tonight, is that different than what you sent electronically? Do you have anything that?
If I understand your question, it's much of what I read was from the telecommunication ordinance. What I sent to you, I sort of summarized.
Okay.
What the note I sent to you yesterday.
Right.
On my feelings, I think I summarized it. If you have any questions about the note, do you have it? I've got a copy of it. I'd be happy.
No, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an attachment or something that I didn't miss.
No, I would belabor it if you were a quorum tonight.
No, I understand.
I don't think it's worthwhile.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bemis.
Okay, any other comment from the staff?
I would only wanted to say that information from Mr. Tennant as he goes forward with some of his looking at that system, and also in response to Mr. Bemis's comment about emergency alert systems. It is a requirement in the current franchise agreement that we have with Cox Communications that they provide an emergency alert system that will interrupt any programming that is on the cable system to